Welcome to World Sport. Coming up today, we're heading downhill at the Mountain Bike World Championships. Rallying around in Kenya with Subaru's Petter Solberg. And lapping the track in Germany at round 16 of the Kart Championship. But first off, it's time to belt up and hold on tight as we go behind the scenes at full throttle at the Jet Sprint World Series. Mark Webster reports.
If you're into extreme speed, if you don't crack under pressure, if you're not afraid of water and you enjoy the rush of adrenaline, then jet sprints could be just what you're looking for. It's a bit like a rally car on water, but if you think that sounds like diluted power, think again.
They'll go from a standstill to 80 mile an hour or 135 kilometres an hour in about 2.5 seconds. It's pretty awesome, and there's not too many vehicles on this planet that actually accelerate at that rate.
Jet sprints originated in New Zealand, quickly spread to Australia, and then gripped the imagination of the Americans. There are two classes of jet that compete both nationally and internationally. The super class, the more powerful of the two, can reach speeds of up to 90 miles an hour. But the jet power principle is the same for both categories.
That jet unit sucks up the water through a hole in the bottom of the boat and squirts it out the back, a little bit like your vacuum cleaner, sucks the air up, and then this is sucking water up, and it's that thrust as the water leaves the back of the jet pump that creates the momentum that forces or thrusts the boat forward. From there, it's a case of whether the driver can control it or whether it starts hopping and skipping and jumps out of the track.
Control is definitely the name of the game. Racing at these speeds, the jets turn through impossibly tight angles, forcing huge demands on the body.
The impact of the severe cornering on your upper body is quite severe, and the G-forces can be anywhere between 5 and 8 Gs, and so if you had a 10 kilogram head, it can turn into 50 or 80 kilograms through the peak of those corners. And unfortunately it is quite severe, and it's a short duration of load, but it's a little bit like your chiropractor grabbing you at the wrong moment.
Like the World Rally Circuit, drivers work alongside navigators, learning the sequence of the course and looking out for any hidden surprises. But on race day, the means of navigation is slightly different.
There's no verbal discussion when you're on the water. There's 900 horsepower behind you screaming its lungs out, and you just can't, you can't hear anything. You're struggling to keep comprehension of what's going on when there's that much heat and power 12 inches behind you. So hand signals are the order of the day.
The depth and condition of the course will also play its part in the way a race is run.
It's all about smooth.
As the boat gets out onto the shallow water, there's an unusual effect whereby the water between the hull and the ground can't escape, so that it pushes and lifts the boat off, and you get more, what we call more lift in the hull. But unfortunately when that happens, it's as though the tyre on your car went from being 6 inches wide to only 3 inches wide, and it gets really loose. Your knuckles go white.
The rules of competition are easy to follow and make it a great spectator sport. It's a race against time, it's all down to elimination, and there's definitely no margin for error.
A competitor will be given 3 qualifying rounds. They can use the best time of any one of those 3 qualifying rounds to determine a top 16. So for instance, if 30 boats attended an event, only 16 are going to go through. And from there, 16 goes to 8, 8 goes to 4, and 4 goes to 2. It is sudden death each round.
Technically, you could have the fastest time of the day and be the hot favourite and not finish the top 8 elimination round, and that's it. This is a sport where you can win or lose by a couple of hundredths of a second.
There's plenty of optimism about the future of jet sprinting. World champions will now be officially recognised by the UIM. Plans are afoot for expansion into Europe, and the quest for ultimate speed continues.
The sport now has developed to a terrific level where we have more and more international competitors coming all the time. We have better venues, we have huge crowds attending. So I think it's a reasonably affordable motorsport for people pretty much all around the world to get involved in. And a great bunch of people who are having a whole lot of fun playing around in the water, and we just make out it's serious occasionally.
We saddle up and set off to Vail, Colorado now, where the world's mountain bike elite gathered to ride for glory in the premier event of the year, the World Championships. The 1.5-mile downhill course was set to test the riders to the limits. In the women's event, the first casualty of the day was Missy Giove with the 1994 World Champions title chances in tatters. Just turned senior phenomenon Fionn Griffiths of Great Britain was sitting in the lead with only Anne-Caroline Chausson of France left to run. Phil Leggett is trackside.
Well, Caroline Anne Chausson underway now. She must have been shocked by the time of Fionn Griffiths, the young Welsh girl, with a 4:14.65. But already Chausson is riding well here, inside by 5.22 seconds. She's living up to the big reputation she brings to Vale. She's 34 years of age now, but she doesn't slow down at all. Little tricky left-hander here, now the plunge into the canyon. She's well under control. This is going to be a good performance yet again by Chausson. World champion in 96, 97, 98 and the year 2000, and now she's going to make it 2001 as well, because there's no way Griffith's time will match this. She is coming over the berms now with no problem at all. A big sprint, 4:10.37. Chausson is again on top of the world.
In the men's event, a fantastically smooth ride put Nicolas Vouilloz in the lead and in line for a French double. But with #1 seed Steve Peat of Great Britain still to run, nothing was certain.
Nicolas Vouilloz has done the time now. Can he be beaten by Steve Peat, who took the silver medal last year? Peat has had a very good downhill season, and if anybody can beat the Frenchman, this is the man. Steve Peat, who came as won the first World Cup for Great Britain back in 1995, and since then has become one of the best. Known for his kamikaze descents, and he's giving it a good run here, but it's not going to be good enough. 3:37.55. Vouilloz gets the gold medal, and that is his 6th title.
As night fell, the action moved to the dual course, where the newly crowned downhill world champion Anne-Caroline Chausson secured another medal as she won her battle against America's Terry Yanis to progress to the finals and go head-to-head against Australian Katrina Miller.
Well, what a wonderful atmosphere in the dark in Vale, and Chausson now up against Katrina Miller, who's celebrating her 26th birthday, by the way, from Australia. But Chausson through on the inside for the crucial right-hander, and now she's got the lead. She will never give up this lead now. She's heading for the world title. It'll be 2 gold medals for this woman from France. She is absolutely superb at 34. That's the tight bend over the top of the berm, and Katrina Miller is not in this at all. Chausson has it completely under control, but Katrina Miller doesn't. The Australian has put her foot out and gone down there, and in fact you saw Chausson there look over her shoulder just to make sure she hasn't come back before she slowed down to enjoy the end of this dual slalom. She is now the world champion, and another gold medal for her. So the men's dual semi-finals, Brian Lopes on nearest camera, first out of the gate against Karim Armour of France. What a start by Lopes here. He's having a wonderful season this year, and he's not going to give up this lead either. In fact, Karim Armour is set to chase him all the way down, because this is a race into the final and a race for the gold medal for the former champion of the United States. Lopes coming over the berms now. He's built up a wonderful lead here over the Frenchman. We didn't expect to be quite this far, but Lopes now is on a clear ride to the finish and a place in the finals. The Frenchman is making no improvement on his distance at all here. Lopes just checked to see where he was, then a little bunny hop through the finish. Now Brian Lopes will watch this second semi-final. Cedric Garcia of France, second out of the gate against Wade Boots of Australia. Boots has made a good start, but look at that too on the inside, Garcia. He has overcooked it. In fact, Boots has gone off on his left. Garcia is back on course very quickly. No sign of the Australian. You can see here in the slow motion on the inside is Garcia rocking and rolling and unseats Wade Boots, who goes off the course to the left. But it's Garcia who collects himself very quickly indeed and gets back on course. No one else in sight. He'll now meet Brian Lopes in the final. And this is the final now between Brian Lopes and Garcia of France, and again a fast start by Lopes. Lopes has done nothing wrong at all throughout these World Championships, and he's off to a terrific start over that nasty bend. But in fact, again, Garcia in all sorts of trouble, lost his back wheel once more. It's given a runaway now to Brian Lopes of the USA. He's heading for the gold medal in the dual slalom, and he is way ahead of the Frenchman. This has been a very demonstrative championship for the American. All of his old form is back with him now. So as he makes the final turns towards the finish, he keeps on checking for the whereabouts of Garcia, who finished 10th in the downhill, by the way. But now in the dual final, Brian Lopes gets the gold after 2 silvers last year and the year before.
Coming up, round 1 snowboard World Cup action from Chile. And we're on safari with Subaru's Petter Solberg.
Smuggling drugs is a serious crime. In some countries, they'll give you life. In others, they'll take your life. Never carry anything for anyone else. Don't let your next holiday be the last.
Welcome back. We head for Valle Nevado in Chile now for the opening round of the FIS Snowboarding World Cup. The new season saw South America hosting its first ever World Cup event, and with places still up for grabs in next year's Winter Olympics, snowboarding's elite were set to put on a show. The weekend got underway with the snowboard cross, and in the women's final, France's Karine Ruby, wearing number 4, was the hot favorite. Phil Young is slopeside.
Straight out of the gate, and it's the Russian Tikvinskaya who takes the whole shot over Karine Ruby, which is most extraordinary because Karine Ruby was the favourite for this, overall champion last year and snowboard cross champion last year. But it looks like Tikvinskaya is pulling away from Ruby, who's just taking second place over Birgitta Hollas, who's back in third. No sign of the Swedish girl Christiansson. So Tikvinskaya is pulling away, I think, as we go over this tabletop, but a long way down, 140-odd vertical drop. Oh, but Karine Ruby just sneaks it round on the inside on that berm, cuts Tikvinskaya out as well, closes the door on that, and that's such a shock for Tikvinskaya out of nowhere, who was miles in the lead. And it looks now to me that Karine Ruby has got this sewn up, only a couple of 100 yards now, and she takes that win easily in the second half of the race.
So a great run by Karine Ruby, who picks up where she left off last season. Meanwhile, the men's final was a showdown between some of the very best.
The gate down, a little bit of tussling over that first bump there with Xavier Delarue takes it round the first bend, just pushing out JCJ Anderson, the Canadian, but Delarue, who won the ISF Championships, which was no mean feat last year, has pulled himself into the lead, interestingly riding soft boots on a freestyle board. If you look at JCJ Anderson, he's got the hard boot set up, which is faster, but Delarue better over the jumps, but it's looking tight. JCJ Anderson trying to get back over this last couple of jumps, and it's anyone's over the line. Delarue gets it by a whisker.
So a win for France's Xavier Delarue. In the women's halfpipe, Norway's Kjersti Buas blew away the competition with a fine display of tricks to take an early lead in this season's World Cup. While in the men's event, it was a Spaniard, Iker Fernandez, who was the class of the field. He turned a series of 540s and flips to get the judge's decision. The parallel giant slalom saw riders go head-to-head down Valle Nevado's Samba course. Despite a win for Germany's Marcus Ebner in the second leg of the final, Slovenia's Dejan Kosier did just enough to take first place. While in the women's event, Swiss rider Steffi von Siebenthal faced another German, Heidi Renoff.
Heidi Renoff on the right-hand side of the mountain as you're looking up, going through the red gates. Steffi von Siebenthal opposite her going through the blue gates. Renoff, of course, came second in the last Winter Olympics. But if you look now, Steffi von Siebenthal is opening up her lead from the first run, and she's about half a gate ahead, and there's no way I can see now that she's not going to take this unless she misses a gate or falls over, but she just cruises over the last couple of gates, and that's an easy win for this first FIS giant slalom.
We crank up the throttle and head to the Rift Valley, Kenya now, where earlier this year we took time out to catch up with a different kind of wildlife.
The World Rally Championship isn't for the faint-hearted. It's all about speed, control and guts. At just 26 and already a full-time driver for Subaru, Petter Solberg appears to have it all. This Norwegian is certainly no dead wood.
Yeah, some people don't love their jobs, but I do, you know. I like driving fast. I'm much younger than all the other guys. I got the speed.
And for Solberg, speed was something that was evident from an early age. He learned his trade on home turf, the snow and gravel of Norway, wrapping up a collection of 5 national rallycross and hill climbing titles by the age of 22. Then it was off to the big boys arena.
I went to the bank and borrowed £85,000 to buy my first car, so it's quite stupid, isn't it?
But it's an investment that's paid off in dividends. By 1998, the precocious talent of the newly crowned Norwegian rally champion had been snapped up by Ford. Solberg made his first full works drive in Kenya, finished 5th, and earned himself a regular, albeit part-time drive alongside rally greats Carlos Sainz and Colin McRae.
I couldn't believe it straight away. It's very difficult to describe. It was the biggest moment of my life, and I hope I'm getting bigger moments, maybe in the rally soon.
Despite his rapid rise through the ranks at Ford, Solberg felt his career needed to go faster. What Ford couldn't supply, Subaru could, and so in a sensational mid-season move, Solberg joined Subaru along with his right-hand man, Phil Mills.
Phil Mills, well, he's quite old guy, you know, he's very good, very professional. He's very calm in the car, and he has never done any mistakes before. You have to have a very good relationship. If not, you have to change.
And it's a relationship that has been tested to the limits. With 5 off-road excursions in 10 outings, Solberg was fast earning a reputation on the circuit as being a little reckless. So, was it time for a change?
I tried to be a little bit more serious early this year, but it wasn't so good, so I tried to have fun again, and we went back to the good speed again and have good results. So it's very important to have fun.
And having rediscovered his speed, Solberg went on to secure the highest finish of his career this June with a 2nd in Greece.
To finish 2nd in Acropolis, it's very good for my psychology. It's a very good feeling, and you're getting so much more confidence for the next rally. But then we maybe have to calm down a little bit so we don't take off, you know.
And when Solberg says we, he means himself and the 100-strong team at Subaru.
The whole team have a very good spirit, you know, everybody working very hard, very late. And I think most of the people are living for what we are doing, you know. I always try to be happy, and because it's so big team. So if I'm sad, you know, it goes through all the mechanics and everybody. So I'm always trying to keep the faith up and try to be happy.
Regarded by many as a future world champion, it's not just his youth and pace that sets him apart.
I always driving with my mouth open. I don't know why, but I've done it since I started driving. It must be to get much air, you know, you need much air in your body.
Currently joint 9th in the World Championship with 5 rounds left, Solberg won't be picking up the crown this year. But it's of no surprise to learn there's plenty of ambition left to burn.
To win the World Championship for Subaru and the whole team. But it's a very easy thing to say, but it's very, very difficult to do. But it's something we have to learn.
We hit the track in Lausitz, Germany now with Euro Speedway's inaugural Champ Car race and round 16 of the Kart Championships. Flags were flying at half-mast alongside the 2-mile oval as track officials, drivers and fans all paid their respects to the victims of recent tragic events in the U.S. Heading into the renamed American Memorial 500, defending champion Gilles de Ferran led the standings on 115 points, narrowly ahead of Sweden's Kenny Brack and Brazilian Helio Castro Neves. And it was Gilles de Ferran who took pole position.
Let's see what happens as they go green. It's Gilles de Ferran and Kenny Brack from that front row as they set off into turn 1. The first attack into turn 1, and it's Kenny Brack who goes for it initially. Goes sweeping around the outside into the first corner. Michael Andretti making a good move as well, and in fact Andretti moving up into 2nd place. De Ferran dropping down into 3rd position.
The 2 Penske cars, 3rd and 4th. Here comes Dario Franchitti and Scott Dixon, well placed there as well. And it looks like Patrick Carpentier got away to a very nice start. We look back now, here is our race leader, Kenny Brack, already starting to put laps on people as he flashes by Max Wilson.
Yeah, Max Wilson not really on the pace in final place at the moment. And Kenny finding himself coming under a bit more pressure from Michael Andretti and definitely from Dario Franchitti. Look at Franchitti. Franchitti definitely on the attack for 2nd place now and making the move. Great stuff from Dario Franchitti. That was at turn 2. So he's proved us there are at least 2 places you can overtake. That was at turn 2. He already made a move at turn 3 and Franchitti is flying. And look at this, the battle between Carpentier and Tagliani making a move on his teammate Patrick Carpentier here.
And it looks as though Tagliani has got a bit more speed. No, he hasn't. Carpentier says, nope, you're not coming past just yet. Plenty of drama here at the German 500. We have just seen race leader Kenny Breck save the most amazing moment down at turn 1. Going into the corner, Kenny tried to get down the inside of Junqueira. Junqueira shut the door on Kenny Breck, and he just then had to sort out the most amazing moment. He was over the curbs, over the grass, trying to get back on. He used the pit lane exit as he struggled to get back on, and then managed to sort it all out. Brilliant stuff from Kenny Breck to recover it.
Here comes the Oval Master.
Lap number 113, 41 laps left, and that should be perfectly achievable on this one more tank of fuel. So has Team Rahal done it again? Have they played their cards perfectly in terms of fuel consumption?
Can he make it 4 Oval wins in this season? Can Breck get out and still maintain this race lead? It looks like it as he comes back out onto the circuit. No, Canaan has gone through. Michael Andretti is now the current race leader.
Dario Franchitti, smoke coming out of the back of his car. He pulls over. Oh dear, Franchitti, every time that he seems to get into a good position in this year's championship, something seems to happen. Now, Michael Andretti, our race leader still, just working his way through the traffic. There's Max Papis, who finds himself down in 12th. That will move up quite considerably when he makes when a lot of these lead cars make their next stop. 120 laps completed, 34 laps to go. Here comes Michael, and this is an important stop, but it is going to drop him down the order. And we are seeing Zanardi move up, by the way. Let me just tell you that Zanardi has just got ahead of Canaan and Breck, and that could be very significant later in this race. Look at Canaan coming through. This is a battle for the lead between these two teammates, you know. Tony Canaan has closed up to Zanardi over the last few laps, and he's right with him once again. It was just a 3/4 of a second gap last time around, and Tony itching to get past, and this is because they're trying to open up as big an advantage as possible before they come in for that splash and dash of fuel, which is what they are going to have to do, I think, if they're going to make it to the checkered flag.
Puts a lap on Tracy, and here goes Canaan through on the inside. He gets by the Team Cool Green driver as well. There's been movement further back in the pack. Pappas is now up right behind his teammate Kenny Breck. Pappas is up to 4th, and Carpentier is up to 5th. Look at the 3 guys who sit the prettiest there. 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Breck, Pappas, and Carpentier. That Team Rahal organisation really know how to work the strategy on their ovals, that's for sure. Breck is in the best position. We know that the 2 Hondas up front do have to pit. It's looking good for the Fords.
Zanardi leads, Canaan 2nd, but they're coming in soon. It's looking good for Kenny.
With just 12 laps to go, Tony Kanaan and Alex Zanardi both made their final pit stops of the race, leaving Kenny Breck in the lead. But on leading pit lane, Zanardi spun and made heavy contact with Canadian Alex Tagliani, throwing debris all over the course. The race finished under the ensuing caution period, and Kenny Breck of Sweden came through to take first place amidst growing concern for the drivers involved in the accident. That victory moved Kenny Breck back into the lead in the championship standings, but the result paled into insignificance later when Alex Zanardi had to have both his legs amputated as a result of the accident. Next week, we serve up tennis with semi-final action from the Davis Cup. Go one-on-one with basketball's future at the 5-Star Camp in Pennsylvania, and put pedal to the metal in New Zealand for round 10 of the World Rally Series.